Start
recording.
recording. Oh,
Yep.
good. We're live. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for joining our blab. Mike and I are chatting. I'm Kaz Makepeace from My Travel Blog and Mike from Advanced Business Abilities.
G'day, everybody. Thanks for coming along and having a look with us. So
yes,
today we are talking about the power of no.
Yeah, something that I think a lot of people are afraid to say for fear of upsetting people, maybe a fear of missing out, lots of different things there. What is your take? Why do you think people struggle with saying no?
Heaps and heaps of reasons. Some people struggle saying no because they're just a yes person. They feel terrible if they say no to anyone for anything. They want to please. That's just the way that they have lived their life. That's the way that they've learned how to survive life. And when they say yes to everybody, they make everybody else happy. Unfortunately, they do that at their own sacrifice. That's one example. Other people, what I think happens for some people, particularly in business, is that they see something on Instagram or Pinterest, or they go to Richard Branson's blog and they see a great image. And the image says, I saw a quote the other day. I made a note of it. Oh, yeah. So I'm not going to quote this exactly. It was something to the extent of, if you see a great opportunity, if a great opportunity gets presented to you, even if you don't know whether or not you can do it, say yes and then work it out along the way. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, fundamentally, I believe that. Like, that's true. And the other thing that's true is that not everyone has the ability to see what is a great opportunity the way that Richard does.
Yeah, so he's pretty good at that, isn't he?
Yeah, his ability to analyze and go, that's a good opportunity, that's far superior to many people on the planet, right? So what that can result in is and I'm not saying this happens every time, but what it can result in is people going, oh, I think that's a good opportunity, I'll say yes to it. And they haven't done their diligence. They haven't actually looked at it. They haven't analyzed it. They've just said yes to it on gut feel. And
if there's someone who struggles then with saying no, once they analyze and see that it's not right for them, they're not going to say no because they struggle with it.
They've already said yes, so now they have to do it. They feel as though, I've made that commitment. I'm committed now. I can't pull out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that causes a huge emotional purgatory. That can really create problems for you. Now, all of a sudden, you're feeling frustrated. You're feeling, there'll be a little bit of potentially resentment because, what have I said yes to? And it's actually resentment of yourself. You're upset with yourself, which then becomes resentment of the project or the opportunity or the person who presented it. It's now you're in a bundle of emotion, and that's not going to help. So while I believe in that quote from Sir Richard Branson, the real thing to look at there is, well, what is the definition of what looks like a great opportunity? How do you define that?
How can people know that? Yeah, what are some things that people... Gerald is just commenting about how relevant this is to my latest turkey thing, and it really is. And that was something that was presented to me as an opportunity where I thought, I can't say no to this. Originally, it was I was asked to go and speak in an event in tourism, the World Travel Forum in Istanbul, that was being headlined by Kofi Annan. So when that opportunity came to me, that was a yes opportunity. That was like to speak alongside of Kofi Annan for me was a major deal.
Yeah.
I was really excited about it, and I thought I'm not going to say no to that. And obviously it was an opportunity for me to travel to Turkey as well. And then things changed for me last week. And, in making my decision, I remember what you've taught me, that it's okay to make a different decision because down in the future you're going to get new information. And so decisions can change based upon this new information. The new information that came in for me was Kofi Annan was no longer speaking. I wasn't told that. I just randomly discovered it via the website. So I was really annoyed because that was the reason I said yes. And then I started to feel sick, and I thought, I can't, like physically, I could picture myself going all the way over to Istanbul, which from Australia is a very long way. And I pictured my body not coping with it. and being sick. I'm still really sick now, so it wouldn't have, I meant to be there now. And then I was really disgruntled with the organisers because it was very chaotic and they didn't respond to any of my emails for weeks. So the new decision then was the effort that I'm going to put into going over there is not going to give me a valuable return. This is not worth it for me. And I said no. And I did, because it was a week ago, I said no. I felt like it was last minute, plus I had committed. And so I did have those feelings of guilt come in.
Yeah.
But I knew I can't say yes to this. It's not going to be good for me physically. Health is priority. And plus it just wasn't worth it.
Well, it wasn't adding up to the things that you had originally said yes to. See, this is another thing that I find really impacts our willingness and ability to say no to something. If you're gonna analyze any decision, you're gonna analyze it based on your current set of information. And the really smart people that achieve a lot in life, what they do is get really clear on what they're saying yes to. And then they measure up each decision according to, well, does that marry up to what I'm saying yes to? And then the other thing that they look at is that they don't just seem to just look at what am I saying no to. They actually look at what am I saying yes to saying no to.
Right.
So that way they're constantly saying yes rather than saying yes and no. They're constantly saying yes, because if I'm saying yes to this, that means I'm saying yes to saying no to that.
Right. Yes. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. So you just saw, what did you just see? Because you just saw something that you hadn't seen 30 seconds ago. What was that?
Yeah, I think the way I just understood what you were explaining, that every yes is also a no to something else. So you're agreeing to say no to that other thing.
Yeah. And when you...
Which is a yes decision.
Yes, that's the one. It's a yes decision. So you're still constantly and regularly saying yes.
So in this case, what I was saying yes to was my health, being home with my kids, work that I felt I could do at home that was more valuable than what I was going to be doing over there. Those were the things I was actually saying yes to in saying no to Turkey.
Yeah, and so therefore you were also saying yes to saying no to an opportunity that wasn't what you thought it was. You know, originally you said yes to speaking alongside Kofi Annan. You said yes to having, I don't know how long the time slot was that they had indicated to you initially. I think it was 20 minutes or half an hour or something.
Half an hour, and it kept getting reduced.
So all of a sudden, what you had said yes to was not the reality.
Yeah. So
therefore, it becomes much easier to say yes to saying no to that, because that's not what you wanted. It's not what you were looking for. It didn't marry up to what you had initially said yes to. And this is another important thing, I think, because every single time we make a decision, we make that decision based on our current set of information. Now, when we make a decision, if, let's say, over the next 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 weeks or however long in the future, if we get new information about that decision that we already made, we always have the right to make a new decision. Because new information may impact the result of the decision that you had made. This is a perfect example of that. It's like you made a decision to say yes, you then got more information, and that yes changed.
It's about bringing the power back to yourself, isn't it? And understanding, as you said, that you have the right to make a new decision. And a lot of people don't understand that, and they get lost in being the yes person, feeling confused, not wanting to let people down, maybe afraid of missing out on an opportunity. How do people, and I spoke about this in a post, trusting your inner voice. How do people get back to that, to trusting and understanding it's okay to say no and when to say no?
I think at its most fundamental, what it comes down to, from my experience, is that people lose the perception that they have choice. So they think, well, I've made that decision. That's it. I have no choice now. I've already decided that I have no choice. I've got to do that. And that perception, from my experience, that perception of no choice is the single biggest detractor from your ability to use your intention on the planet. Like that's my reality. The perception, when you have the perception that you do not have a choice, that's it. That you're now going to be sitting in an entire emotional experience that goes against the core of who you really are. Because who you really,
and something that's defined by someone else, isn't it?
Correct. Determined by someone else, yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's a whole bunch of skills that every single person has, or I'll say ability. Oh, God, also many decisions are so out there in our open, connected world. Yep. So
yeah,
I'd be interested.
They are.
I would be interested to ask you the question: when you say out there, what do you mean? We every single one of us has innate abilities. We all have intuition. We all have. I know, Kaz, you refer to it as your inner voice. We all have an ability to perceive beyond just what is physical. We all have the ability to do that. It's do you develop that ability? Can you be aware of those different aspects of life? And can you then use that information, that data that you collect, to support you to make decisions? So we are so often online in even signaling our intentions, I guess is what I mean. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I've read some information recently that actually shows that Facebook, people who go on Facebook more than others are actually more depressed. People who spend more time on Facebook than others actually experience greater feelings of depression.
It's really sad, and I think we've spoken about it in another episode about comparing yourself to others, because Facebook is classic for that. And you're getting so much input from other people. Like when I published a post yesterday and put on Facebook, and then you get negative comments, and that comes into your world. And of course it impacts everybody. Anyone who says that it doesn't in some way is not being authentic and not being aware of what's happening. And yeah, if you're on Facebook all the time and you're using that as your reference point, other people's lives, other people's opinion, then suddenly you do start getting depressed and you start feeling like your life is meaningless, you have no control, and all those kind of things will come into play.
Yeah, it's also that people, when you go on Facebook, what you see is you see people who are showing the side of their life that they want to show.
Yeah.
They're demonstrating the parts of their life that they want you to see. And they're doing that really in a way to help themselves feel better about their life. And look, I'm not saying everybody does that. There is definitely a pretty big percentage of people that do. One of the things that I love about certain people that you can follow is that they do keep it, and I hate this expression, but they keep it real. They actually do show you, I was really upset today about this, or one of the things, Gary Vaynerchuk is he's pretty full on. And one of the things that I liked about a post I saw from him not long ago was he just snapped a photo of himself sitting in an airport surrounded by people. And it was, obviously late at night. And it was just, the life of an entrepreneur, always hustling. Still, it's a late flight. I'm flying to a business meeting tomorrow. This is what it's really like.
Yeah.
So, that for a lot of people is true. What you see other people do is you see them show all these great photos of a holiday that just went on. And if you're friends with that person in real life, you catch up with them a week or two later, and all they're doing is complaining about how they've got no money and they've borrowed all the money to go on that holiday in order to pay for it. And now they've got credit card debt to pay and they're miserable. But that's not what their Facebook profile shows. Their Facebook profile shows this awesome holiday, life's great, everything's fantastic. So when you the power of saying no, well, it's also about the power of saying no to the decisions that you could make that are not the best decisions to make for you.
And so hanging out on Facebook and letting that impact you in such a way is the thing that you can say no to take control back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Either that, or if you're saying yes to hanging out on Facebook, well, that means that you're saying no to other things. It says that,
right.
or if you're the type of person who, you know, comes home from work at the end of the day, or, you know, sort of you're attempting to build a business and you come home and then sit on the couch for 3-4 hours watching TV and, you know, not in any way being productive or resourceful with your time, there's nothing wrong with that decision. That's totally okay. As long as you're aware that if you're saying yes to that, that does mean that you're saying yes to saying no to using that time productively in another way. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all, as long as you're clear that that's the decision that you're making. I think it's important to realize that Facebook is just a room, not always a book. Happily, we can walk out of the room. That's right. And as much as it's awesome that Facebook has video, really Facebook is only it's showing you a moment or a very small snippet of time.
Snapshot.
Yeah. You know, you're not reading the whole novel. you're not seeing the full story. You're seeing what people want you to see.
Yeah, exactly. I've got myself out of a lot of Facebook groups because it was like I understood that by being there I was saying yes to having their discussions and fights and arguments appear on my feed. And then I was like, you know what? This is really having an impact upon me. I don't need to be in this room. I'm leaving. Yeah. And things change. So then I'm saying yes to more control over my life.
Yep. So, and if we bring this back to, I suppose, more of a business front as well, what happens, a lot of people, I've coached a client over the last 6 months, and he was running 3 separate businesses. And one of those businesses he was aiming to essentially get out of. He was over it, didn't want to do it anymore. And the other 2 were both related, and they were still separate businesses. And, you know, we have these invisible muscles that I've talked about in previous blabs, and that we go into a lot of detail in the communication skills. The confidence igniter. Communication skills accelerator. That's a different one. So these invisible muscles, we all have them. You know, we have awareness, we have intention, and we have one that is really limited, and it's called attention. And I've been thinking about this a little bit over the last couple of weeks and talking with some of my researchers about it. There's a 4th muscle that I've not spoken about much.
Oh, I've not heard of this one.
Yeah, nobody has. So it's the muscle called interest. Interest is another invisible muscle that we have. But if we look at attention's the only one of those muscles that is limited. Like that, it's not. You don't have. Yeah. You know, you can't build the amount of attention that you have. You have a limited amount of attention to give to something. So if you're a person running 3, 4, 5, 6 businesses, the only way that can work is if those businesses are properly delegated, that someone else is actually running them and doing them, and, you know, they're responsible for the outcomes that are being delivered. If that's not happening, then what is happening is your attention's being split. So you're therefore saying yes to this, saying yes to this, saying yes to this, and saying yes to this. And that's really not going to support you, and it's not going to support those businesses. So it's another example of where that power of the ability to say yes to saying no to something, and saying no doesn't mean no forever.
Right, yeah.
It means no for now.
Not right now, not at this moment.
That's it, because that's the reality of it. If you say yes to all of that right now, your attention is split too many ways. a pie can only be carved up so many times before there's not enough for everybody. Same thing with your
I think that's something really important for people to understand about the idea that attention is limited, because I think possibly we live in a world where multitasking and everything moves so fast, and so people possibly think they can actually do more than they really can. But if they, and I've learnt this through our business, and the bigger that we've gotten, the more opportunities that have come, but the more I've realised I can only take on so many.
Yes.
No is really important for me. And in that practice of saying no, because there's the fear that you'll miss out or whatever, but you get very clear on what's a good opportunity and what's not, and how important it is to say no, because if you don't, you overextend yourself and then nothing works.
Yes. So this is the power of no, or the power of saying yes to saying no. The more you say no, the more you're able to 100% say yes, and give all of your attention, intention, awareness, and interest to the things that you're saying yes to.
Yeah. And just something I thought of where people might struggle with letting people down and saying no, that I've heard before, a nice way to do it is to say, thank you, I really appreciate your offer, opportunity, but at this time I just don't feel I can do it justice.
Sure.
So that's an honest way of saying no without being too, harsh or upfront. It just kind of helps people feel a little bit better about it.
Sure. Another way you can say it is, look, that sounds like an awesome opportunity. And for me right now, that doesn't fit. For me right now, that doesn't fit. In a month or 6 months, look, that's an awesome opportunity. And if it's still there, I'd love to talk to you about it. For right now, my plate's full.
Yeah. And you're going to get people respond to that positively. I think a lot of people have an idea that, oh, Chicken Little, the sky's falling down. But people will go, oh, yeah, okay, I understand that. Thanks for letting me know. And then that's it.
That's it. That's exactly right. Yep, that's exactly right. So, no one, if somebody gets upset because you state that you already have prior commitments, that means you can't do that. Well, that's, thanks, Karen, for telling a little bird.
Thank you.
If you have already made prior commitments and you're just upfront and honest about that, well, that's it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Walking on travel.
Yeah, I got abused by someone once because I didn't say yes to something they wanted me to.
Great.
And you just laugh. You just go, okay, thanks for sharing.
Well, that's awesome.
I'm glad I said no now.
That's right. It shows what that person's really like. And the other thing that's really important to remember is that if they do get upset with that, remember that that's their stuff. That's their problem. That's their emotional reaction to something. That means that somehow they are under pressure and they were looking for you to rescue them.
Right. Oh, that's such a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
They were looking for you to rescue them. That's real to you, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people take on that role of being a rescuer, don't they? And so,
look, we could do a whole bloody blab about, the triangle that people talk about where, you're either the rescuer or what are the other two positions? Do you know what I'm referring to?
Excuse me, I don't think I do. What are you, the victim?
Rescue syndrome, walking on travel, just wrote rescue.
Oh, there.
Yeah, so you're either
Thanks, Karen.
You're either the victim or you're the rescuer, and there's one other position. Karen, do you know what it is? Or Kaz, do you know what it is?
No. Oh, it's not the real name for it, but it feels like it should be. I like that name.
Yeah.
I think you've just named it.
Yeah, you're
enabler.
No, so you're either the victim, the rescuer, or I have the word perpetrator in my head, but you're the person who is the attacker. The word's not coming to me right now.
Right. The crime committer.
Victim, rescuer, and no, it's not enabler. It's I'm not going to Google it right now.
Google
My point is this. What a lot of people do is they actually think that you play one of those positions, and that's not the truth. The truth is, if you're stuck in that triangle, you are actually playing all three positions simultaneously.
Oh, right. Because if you are being a rescuer, you're essentially being a victim because you are essentially fulfilling a role you feel obligated to.
Well, let's put it this way.
Would that be why?
If you're being a victim, so, you know, the world's terrible, all these things are happening to me, right? At the same time, you're also going to be labeling someone as bad or wrong for the thing that they did to you. Mm-hmm. So you're accusing them of, you know, the word enabler. I'll Google it later and I'll put it on when we write the blog post. I'll make a note of it. You'll be attacking someone for doing that thing to you. And at the same time, you'll also be attempting to rescue someone else from falling into the same trap. You do not play one of those positions. You play all three simultaneously, and that's what gets you stuck. Now, how does this relate to what we're talking about? Well, it relates to what we're talking about because you're demonstrating an inability to say yes and to say yes to saying no.
Right.
See, that's the power of this whole topic today, is that every single person on the planet is their own king or queen in their world. You are the decision maker. You create your entire world. Now, your number one function in that role is to make decisions. Making decisions involves yes and no, or yes and yes to no. That's the fundamental role. So developing that skill, developing that ability is primary. That is, in my opinion, the most important thing. That's the thing that differentiates people who achieve lots and people who don't, is their ability to make decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And the better and the more confident you get, the quicker you make decisions so that you can actually get to be like Richard Branson and can quickly determine if something is an opportunity or not.
Yep, I'm good.
Because you're used to not listening to the noise. Like you've trained yourself to not listen to the noise and to listen to your voice and your understanding of what something to say yes to or no to.
Yep, persecutor.
Ah, there you go.
Yep. Victim, rescuer, perpetuator. Yep. Did I say that correctly? Victim, rescuer, persecutor, not perpetuator, persecutor. So yeah, so while if you're playing the victim, you'll be persecuting whoever has done that thing to you, and you'll be attempting to rescue others from getting stuck in the same trap.
Makes sense.
And therefore, all the while, you're actually trapped in that triangle, in the emotion of it.
Yeah. Yep. And not going anywhere.
Yep. So
great. Well, I think we're
time.
Yeah, so it's a great place to end it. Thanks so much for joining and contributing and throwing your ideas and questions out there. That's awesome. Yep. Karen and Gerald.
Yeah, thanks guys. And
pleasure, Gerald.
Head over to confidenceigniter.com where been interesting. Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Head over to confidenceigniter.com. There's lots of good stuff that's coming in that program. We're going to continue to blab every week. We've actually nailed 2 of them this week. So,
we did well. We had to cancel last week.
did, yeah. So, we didn't have to. We chose to.
No, I was just about to say, we didn't have to. We chose to.
Come back and tune in next week. We'll post it out when we've scheduled it. And thanks for your time today, Kaz.
Thank you, Mike. It's been great as always.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day or evening wherever you are. Bye.